What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are getting the Vibe fixed up. Hopefully gonna fix the issue that's keeping it from being drivable and just do some good preventative maintenance. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so what we got going on today is we're gonna have to do a CV half axle replacement. So what that entails is we're gonna have to disconnect the strut from the knuckle back here, and what that's gonna allow us to do is drop this down out of the way so that we can get the half axle replaced. And you can kind of sort of see it, but right back in there, yeah, now you can see it, the boot ripped. And unfortunately the only way to remedy that is actually by taking the whole axle out to replace the boot. So I'm going to replace the whole axle while I'm in here and then reboot and put more grease and then keep this one as a spare.
You hurt me, you did, several times. It hurts to admit that we're no different. I find it hard to commit, but you don't even try. Still I'm better with than without you. Oh, I'm on it, I want it, but why do you seem to call in your eyes? I can't tell if you're here or you're out there. Do you wanna be out there? You don't need to be Prince Charming to me. I just need this to be real.
Alright guys, so we did get the axle swapped out. As you guys may have seen in my Instagram stories, it became more essential to get this fixed. So unfortunately, me and my dad just kind of had to go at it and get it done so that I had a vehicle to drive. But all we had to do was the axle shaft assembly actually broke. Well, it didn't break, but it popped apart back in there. You guys can see down there's a little bit of a coupling, and it popped apart there because when I took all of this apart, I forgot to remove the sway bar end link. From the sway bar, I ended up twisting the suspension once the knuckle came out of it and creating an issue. We're trying to get this set somewhere. It won't, but anyways, so that's what popped the original CV axle apart. And what ended up happening was the remaining part was down in there, and because we're doing all this in a driveway with nothing but a jack and jack stands, it was hard to get this up high enough to get a proper pry bar back in there because there's not much room. There was one area I could come through, and that's when this knuckles all the way down. It's just on the other side of that bar where my finger is. And so we eventually got it in there right and got one good hit with the hammer, and that was enough to free it up. So we got that took out, and then getting the new axle in was significantly easier. All you gotta do is there's a lock ring on the end. You gotta make sure the open part is facing down, and then you just gently slide it in and then twist it back and forth until the threads line up. And then once they do, just take a rubber mallet or something like that and tap on this end of the axle and have someone lay under the car or hit it and then check. And you just need to make sure that it's all the way back so it's seated against the transmission and seated against the seal. I did inspect my transmission seal while we were in there, and it looked perfectly fine. So I have a couple that will just be spares in case I need them. So what we're out here doing now is I had to take my tire cap off so that I can get my torque wrench on that, make sure it's at 200 foot-pounds of torque. It's actually like 196, but I'm just rounding up. And then we're gonna indent this axle nut. Alright, let's get to it.
I want the throne out on the crush obstruction, rush through barricades, levitate, got it tatted on me, told them follow me, they see the vision, now it's 2020, clear as Tahoe, Lexus, clear as day, no longer move around in fear, disarray, pray you hear me like the...
Alright guys, so now that I torqued the nut, I just wanted to look in here, make sure we don't see any fluid. There shouldn't be any grease. Yeah, let's see if I can get you guys in there. No fluid, no grease. You can see from this side, the boot looks super healthy. I did take it on a test drive, and in the test drive, I went over various bumps. Heavy acceleration, heavy braking, light acceleration, tight turns, wide turns, everything I could think of, and everything was great. So the last thing we have to do is tap that part of the axle nut down into that little channel and then get the wheel back on, and we are done. There we go guys, now the axle nut is dented into that little channel, and that is how you change a CV axle on a 2007 Pontiac Vibe front wheel drive. If you guys need any more information, feel free to comment. I'll answer any questions. Thanks.
Now I gotta ride or die.
Also guys, just real quick, because my camera's about to die, I did fix my battery terminals. This was super simple. Both those screw out, it clamps onto the larger wire, and then I just used two small screw crimp connections to connect whatever other wires, like the alternator wire and stuff, to the battery. Super simple. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but that's done now, and I don't gotta worry about it. Alright, what's up guys? So as you saw, we got the CV axle completely fixed on the Vibe. Unfortunately, because the Lexus was down at the same time, I ended up having to rush and get it done. That way I could, I had a vehicle to drive back and forth to work with, because G8 needs rear tires and I gotta fix the exhaust on that. It's not major things, just things that I have to wait to get done. Some things I did off camera was the battery terminals, like you saw. Changed out the fuel pumps, spark plugs, inspected all the coil packs. All of them are still good. They're the original ones, and everybody says just stick with OEM. I did order some replacement ones just in case, but I don't think I'll be needing them. Now the car is running fantastic. I'll make sure to be getting a video of it pretty soon. One thing I'm still having issue with is I'm getting that throttle acceleration blip, but I turned overdrive off in it. And what that does is just allow the car to stay in lower gear and rev higher, or rev longer, better yet. And that seemed to have fixed my issue, so I'm just going to keep looking into that. And then I finally re-tapped and installed the proper seat bolts for my front driver's seat. So basically what happened was, before I really knew what I was doing, I was using my dad's impact, and it was fine to break the bolts loose, but I mean it was like a 1/2 inch, like actual heavy duty electric impact. And when I put them back in, I put them back in too tight, so I messed up the threads. Probably shouldn't have gone so long without fixing them, but I did finally get that done, so now the seat's not rocking and it doesn't have some sketchy bolts in it. But the Vibe's on a really good path. I'm hoping to keep it that way. I'm probably going to put the rear spacers back on just because I can't deal with the fitment that it has right now. But yeah, I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.